I'd like to call the Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then the invocation led by Commissioner Ray Snell. All rise.
Lord, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and guidance as we are gathered peacefully to do the business of the people. As you know, this Saturday we saw an unbelievable violent attack on presidential candidate Donald Trump. No matter what our differences, help us to remember that we are a nation that resolves those differences through debate, dialogue, and the ballot box, not violence. Please give aid and comfort to the family of Corey Comparatori, who was killed in that attack, and healing to the others who were injured. We humbly ask for your peace and protection for all candidates in these troubled times. Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Bear.
Present.
Commissioner Walls. Here. Commissioner Kennedy.
Hello.
Commissioner Duckham.
Here.
Commissioner Pileski.
Here.
Commissioner Willis.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Snell.
Here.
Chairman Shotwell.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Entertain approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved. Support.
Motion and support. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Waited for this moment. Would Herman Frederick Rick Shealy III join me at the stage? Whereas Rick Shealy dedicated the majority of his career to public service, beginning with the City of Jackson Police Department, and after a period working in Lansing, returned to Jackson as director of the Jackson County Facilities Department, making valuable contributions to support county employees and the public of the Jackson community. And whereas Rick demonstrated the county values of quality, integrity, community, teamwork, efficiency, and accountability, Rick created a culture within the facilities department where teamwork is highly valued and integrated across different divisions. And whereas Rick inspired others with his vision and knowledge regarding the unique needs of the county buildings, working diligently to preserve them for future generations. And whereas Rick served on the county's building authority and as its secretary, Rick oversaw the numerous construction projects during his tenure on the county, including the restoration of the second floor of the Tower Building, the construction of the commission chambers, the remodel of the Lifeways CMH Jackson campus, remodeling and expansion of the animal shelter, the construction of the county morgue, and all completed for the betterment of the community. Rick led with a servant's heart, always striving to help the community. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Jackson County Board of Commissioners wishes to express their heartfelt gratitude to Rick's 18-plus years of dedicated service to the citizens of Jackson County. I so move.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Walls.
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Commissioner Duckham.
Yes.
Commissioner Pileski.
Yes.
Commissioner Willis.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Snell,
Yes.
Commissioner Bear,
Yes.
Chairman Shotwell.
With highest honor, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, sir, very much. Appreciate the time we spent together here in Jackson, most definitely. Yep. Like to say something? Can we get back up there?
Thank you, Commissioners. This is a great honor, and it's gladly appreciated. I've enjoyed my time here. I think I'm leaving the place a little better than when I got here. So, thank you all.
Any communications or petitions to come before the board? Seeing nor hearing none. Special orders and public hearings, there are none. We've arrived at public comment guidelines. Each individual will state their name. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. You may only address the board once under this public comment opportunity and may not yield your time to others. Board members will not debate nor answer questions at this time. Public comment is now open.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jay Niles, Columbia Township Police Chief. I'm here today on behalf of the Columbia School District. On the agenda tonight, there's a matter of the new communication system that is much needed for the school system. Currently, their system has fallen into great state of disrepair to no fault of theirs. It's an old antiquated system, and they can't even hardly get across the township, let alone this county. We believe that this improvement into this infrastructure will greatly and vastly improve the safety of the students and staff of the Columbia School District and entirely the entire community. This will also give us methods to communicate with the school system from the public safety side of things, where police and fire will be able to effectively have the planning and the necessary structures to facilitate the communication needed to maintain safety and security. So I want to thank the commission for their continued support in this project and look forward to working on many others, hopefully in the future, and encourage you to continue supporting this. Thank you.
Chairman Chotwell, fellow commissioners. My name's Steve Noble. I operate Recycling Jackson, and I'm a board member of the Jackson County Conservation District. I live in Sandstone Township. I'm not here to criticize your efforts or ask for money for any of the organizations I'm involved in. Rather, I'm here to simply thank this group and the other county leadership for your ongoing support of the household hazardous waste events that we have each year. With the county's financial support, the Conservation District is allowed to continue to hold the events and keep thousands of pounds of toxic chemicals out of our landfills and off of our roadways and out of the recycling system. We deeply appreciate your ongoing effort to support this simple but important effort. It makes sure that all the residents of the county have the ability to live in healthier households and a cleaner environment. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. I think my thing probably turned it off. Sorry about that. Okay, my husband and I speak for Jackson County residents who want to stop the destruction of our generation and our future generations. You, as our government authority, we ask and beg you, Commissioners, to seek truth and wisdom in your decisions and actions. We are sick from the deception on commercials daily from Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, who are blaming President Trump and large corporations for his failures. He has the big bucks and the power behind him, and yet he is allowing our country to fail for many reasons. No believer with convictions could support the wicked Democratic agenda or the people who endorse it. Things like horrible abortions, religious persecution, poor economic policies, pro-immorality and soft on crime, violence, and disobedience, removing parental authority, socialism and globalism, deceitfulness, including the denial of corrupt election practices. These are known, what do you call them, of the Democratic Party? The agenda, the things they approve of. How can anyone who is a believer get behind that? Even if you cannot label yourself as a Republican or a conservative, you must stand up against economic and moral corruption, against divisiveness and hate, which we are falsely accused of. Who does the hate? The wicked in heart, whether they're Republican or Democrat. We need people to step up who fear God and seek truth in order to receive blessings in our land. I want to encourage those of you who profess your faith, who profess your values, and who fear God, to collect your strength and to stand for righteousness. I continue to pray for you and all in authority. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I haven't appeared before the County Board of Commissioners in a couple of years because I've been involved in election investigations. It's taken up quite a bit of my time and my life. My name is Scott Ogney. I'm a candidate for Jackson County Sheriff. And why am I a candidate for Jackson County Sheriff? The main impetus, not the entire impetus, but the main impetus is the fact that we have uncovered, myself and several individuals throughout the state of Michigan, evidence of mass election fraud. Has to do with the records. And we have public officials that have taken an oath of office and refused to do anything about it. Real briefly, I'd like to read a statement of something that will be posted on my campaign website. I've offered it up to the board, whether or not they want to pitch it or enter it in the records, another thing. Scott Ogney, Second Amendment declarations. In the event of my successful election to the office of Jackson County Sheriff and swearing in office by oath, the first actions I will implement is signing and mailing the 2 Second Amendment declarations. And one is addressed to Dana Nessel, the Michigan Attorney General. The second is addressed to the Attorney General, current Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland. And I'm going to read what it states in both. Having been recently elected to and administered the oath to the office of Jackson County Sheriff, I hereby notify you that any statute, ruling, or directive that infringes on the constitutionally guaranteed Second Amendment rights of the citizens of Jackson County, Michigan, in boldface, will not be enforced. That is my commitment to the public. My opponent, I don't believe, would do anything as such. I do intend to voluntarily ask all deputies with, how are we doing on time? What is my time left? I will voluntarily ask the deputies to voluntarily retake the oaths of office and to voluntarily take a constitutional class as my commitment as the constitutional candidate for Jackson County Sheriff. Now, returning to my issues, why I ran, I'm going to read you several statutes. 168.940, prosecuting attorney, duty to prosecute. This is an election law. If something comes by and they have to thoroughly examine the evidence and proceed forward. 168.941, peace officers, and the duty of any police, sheriff, or other peace officer to forthwith institute criminal proceedings. Gary Schutte has failed with this miserably. 752.11, upholding or enforcing the law. We have 3 criminal statutes violated by the Michigan Bureau of Elections and the Secretary of State. Gary Schutte refuses to obey 752.11. That's a criminal statute. 754.78, willful
15
neglect of
seconds.
duty. That's a criminal statute. The biggest one is a felony, which I am currently trying to bring charges against the county clerk, because this law applies to her as well as Gary Schutte and other law enforcement of the county, and it is misconduct in office by public officers, and it's up to 5 years in prison and up to $10,000.
You're out of time,
Thank
sir.
you.
green is go. I got it. Hi, everyone. Amy Hawkins from Pulaski Township. Thank you to each of you for your service for our county. You are being prayed over, and we just really appreciate you guys. Also, and I've said this before, but I will say it again, thank you for all the effort that you have done to try to find a solution for our local jail and our law enforcement with the safety millage. I'm one of the proud volunteers on that project, and I have vote yes signs out in my car outside, so if anybody here would like one. But I just want to thank you for your efforts and just to encourage all of you that there really is a lot to be done in the next 3 weeks. So if there's any phone calls you can make, that we do just really need to let people know of the importance of this. We are trying to notify people on social media, clergy, we need announcements made. So if there's anything that I can do as a volunteer, I'd be glad to do that. Also, I am proud to support Gary Schutte for sheriff. And so if anybody would like signs for him, please let me know as well. Thank you again for all that you do on behalf of the citizens. I'm sorry we don't have more citizens here on a regular basis, but we will continue to get the word out and just know that you are appreciated. And hopefully we can bring more people to the table who are excited to be a part of the solution and not just complaining. So I will always take suggestions on how we can do better to partner with you in that. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Chris Davis. I wanted to come here tonight and introduce myself to you as a candidate for the Jacksonville School Board. I am running for that position. There's 3 spots open, and as of today, I'm the only candidate on the ballot. So if you know anybody else who is interested in running for a school board position, please encourage them to go down and file to run for the school board. If anybody has any questions for me, I encourage anybody to reach out to me directly. You can go to my Facebook, Chris Davis for School Board, or Chris Davis for JPS.com. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? First round of public comment is now closed. We have no special meetings of standing committees. Approval of the minutes of the June 18th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion and support. Any items for removal? Corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Support.
I have a motion and support. Items for removal. Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to remove from consent the 9C, Jackson County Department of Transportation, Mike Levine, Lakelands Trail easements, and item 10B, Parks Trail Funding and Ownership Resolution.
Nine C shall become 13B. And 10B shall become 14B. Any other items for removal for further discussion? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll for the amended consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Duckham,
Yes.
Commissioner Pulaski,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Snell,
Yes.
Commissioner Bear,
Yes.
Commissioner Walls,
Yes.
Chairman Shotwell.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Item 13, Standing Committee Public Safety Transportation, chaired by Vice Chairman Corey Kennedy. Commissioner Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight we'll have 2 items of business. First is the appointment to the Emergency Management Advisory Council. It is a commissioner position. The current member is Commissioner Snell. He, however, has some scheduling conflicts with some other committees he serves on. So we are looking for a commissioner to step up and serve on that board. If anyone's interested, if you could please email me by next month's Public Safety and Transportation meeting, I'd appreciate that. The next item is the item that was removed and has become item 13B. That is Jackson County Department of Transportation, Mike Levine, Lakeland Trail easement. It was recommended for approval by the committee.
Questions? Commissioner Bear?
Well, I like our parks and I like our parks trails. I have a problem with this because there were 7 easements required. The first 6 easements were a one-time $750 easement, a one-time $234 easement, a one-time $156 easement, 3 one-times $1 easements. I have a problem with the consumer's easement of costing us $1,110 a year forever. That's $1,110 out of the park's budget for repairing parks for a year. That is too high. I would like to see that lease easement renegotiated. And I would like to refer back to our April 30, 2024 Public Safety and Transportation Committee meeting, where consumers needed some easements to bring power to the Minard Road, Springport Road roundabout. We gave consumers an easement for $1. So when consumers needs an easement, we charge them $1. When we need an easement from them, they charge us $1,110 forever. I move to send this back to the parks and request that they renegotiate these easements. Next item.
Looking for support?
I'll support that. Question to the motion.
We have a motion and support.
Can we have discussion?
Oh, yes, we're moving there. Because the Commissioner Williams has asked for a question. You have to give the clerk a moment to get it organized, please. Okay. Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding Commissioner Bear's statements, I was wondering if administration had any feedback.
Are you ready? Okay, because, go ahead.
Yes. This is not the first time the board brought this to our attention. We do have a formal request of consumers that they waive that easement, and yet thus far we've not heard from them. I know it is their standard practice, and they do have this practice across the whole state. But I have made a request of Minnie Bradish Orta, as she is our representative in our community right here. So I hope to hear back soon from them.
Commissioner Snell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's been my experience with consumers on these issues to get an easement. You are going to pay for a survey, and then you're going to pay for the true cash value of the property in order to get that easement. Probably in the long run, $1,000 is cheaper. I'm not happy about it. I've had a couple, as you know, I'm a realtor. I've had a couple deals where I've had to do this, and it made more sense to pay the license fee than to go through with an easement.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have similar concerns to Commissioner Bear, primarily because Consumers Energy often advertises how they're such a community partner and they do great things for the community. If there's real costs associated with this easement that is coming as an expenditure to them, obviously that's justifiable, but a reoccurring cost every year just to use a land that, some land that's for the public. I don't really like that idea. So I am hopeful that they do respond to to our administrator. But my other question to administration is, are we on a timeline here? In other words, if we don't approve this tonight, would it delay the project substantially?
Yes, and frankly, it puts it somewhat in jeopardy. Mr. Levine, who donated $800,000 of his personal money towards this, we have delayed this multiple times, and he is becoming tired of waiting for us. So it's almost a $4 million project. I would hate to delay it for the $1,100.
Commissioner Willis.
Yes, the question was also to the administrator. So just to be sure that I understand, we do have a request in to Mrs. Order at this time for consumers, and we're waiting for a response from that. And if so, do you know what the time frame is in which we would get that response?
I would hope next week. She was out of town when we made a request. So I texted with her a little bit back and forth, and then submitted a formal email to consumers for that, and she was going to follow up upon her return.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Walls.
Thank you. I just want to clarify with administration, please. I remember that consumers paid already for the testing of the property and the cleanup of the property, which was well over $100,000. If we look at that $1,100, that's going to cover 90 years. So consequently, when weighing the cost, we got over $100,000 worth of work in product donated to us by Consumers Power. And although I don't necessarily want to have to pay that $1,100, it is covered for 90 years with that $100,000 work they did. Is that correct?
Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Chairman. The $800,000 from Mr. Levine, he gave that to us a couple of years ago. We didn't spend it in the time frame that he wanted it spent. So we had to ask him to give us that gift a second time. We need to act in a more timely fashion. Too many requests come to us from every county agency that we need to approve this right now because there's a deadline or we'll lose the grant. I'm tired of hearing that from all county employees. If you need this grant signed tomorrow, you don't bring it to us in July, you bring it to us in June. I never brought my boss a statement, well, you got to approve this contract right now, otherwise, the contract will lapse. I would have been fired. Just about every department does that. They come to us at the last minute, and that irritates me. That's not professional. The survey, I can understand that consumers did a survey for the land. Was there not a survey performed for the Minard Road, Springport Road roundabout? There had to be a survey done for that. We saw the survey reports, and yet that only cost us $1. So I don't understand the cost. And yeah, consumers cleaned up a contaminated site and did their public responsibility. So I'd still like to send this back. Thank you.
Commissioner Duckham, then Commissioner Willis, or Commissioner Williams, I apologize.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to withdraw my support of this motion, if I may.
Why would you believe it was too late, sir? Why don't you just, the chair will support this just to keep the discussion going, so that way we can vote this up or down. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to be clear, if we vote to table or to vote to remove this, if we forego this, I guess my question, would we then lose the $800,000? And then would that cancel the project?
Could. The loss of the 800,000 would cancel the project.
So again, to be clear, if we vote no, we're essentially saying we're going to complete or we're going to end this project. Or is that too far reaching?
No, voting no would continue the project. Voting yes for Commissioner Bear's motion would send it back to Parks.
Okay. The amendment. Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Yes. And it's a straight up motion. It's not an amendment to any action.
Thank you.
Yep. Discussion complete? Madam Clerk, could you please reread the motion?
I would love to. Want to make sure I have this correct. Motion is to send this back to the Parks Department to renegotiate the sale of the easements. Is that correct, Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Thank you.
So voting for it sends it back and could risk ending the trail extension that we've been working on for roughly 16 years, going back to when we first did the Falling Waters Trail and began this connection and worked on the Arts 634 project, tore down the Green Monster, the Acme building that sat on Mechanic Street, the following of the trail through Lions Park, the connection from Parnell Road to Stockbridge to Munith, and then on to the east end of the state and completing the trail through Washtenaw and other counties going east. You ready to vote? We're voting. You've had to. You spoke twice, sir. You're done.
Give everybody else an option to speak
So
twice.
we're voting. Please post.
The vote is posted.
Yes means no.
One yay, 8 nay, motion fails.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to concur with the committee's recommendation of approval.
We have a motion and support. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes public safety and transportation business for this evening.
Standing Committee General Government, chaired by Commissioner Duckham. Commissioner Duckham, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have two items tonight. The first being appointments. The appointment would be Upper Grand River Watershed Alliance. It is a vacant position. We had no applicants. Unless there's an applicant from the floor, we would probably need to re-advertise for next month. That'd be a motion.
We will just re-advertise, sir. You can go to your next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Second item is from the consent agenda. It would be for Parks Trail funding and ownership resolution number 07-24.17.
To adopt the committee recommendation. Support. We have a motion and support. Commissioners, anyone want to speak? Commissioner Bear.
No, never mind. On the June 28, 2024, trail funding and ownership resolution. Under background 1, paragraph G, the county has been awarded $2,884,700 in grant funding, and we're awarded $800,000 from the Levine Fund. If you add those two numbers together, you get $3,684,700. On page 2, under Article 3B, Finances, it says we have raised $3,884,711. There's a difference between the two numbers given initially, you add them up, and the stated total, there's a difference of $200,011. These numbers don't add up. We need an explanation. Where is this $200,011?
No, I'm not actually seeing what you're talking about there. The total project cost is 3.88 million.
The project cost?
Yeah, the total project, the total project with the, as it says in Financial B there, it says here the actual trail construction is 2.962 million, and then that's the trail. The remainder of that, meaning the difference between that 2.9 and 3.8 million, is the excess funds are being used to design for and construct engineering, tree clearing, trailhead improvements at Hawkins Road, and then, of course, contingency. Frankly, until we get the darn thing bid and receive bids and everything, we're not really sure 100% what it is. This is what our estimate is.
Well,
So-
that paragraph merely says that if the funds raised are 3.8 million and the costs are 2.9 million, there's about $900,000 used for design. That's a
And
lot of
tree
design
clearing,
budget.
trailhead improvements, and things like that, yeah.
Well, it's just that the two numbers on the first page, 2,884,700, and you add the 800,000, that does not add up to the $3,884,711. You can explain the cost of construction, but the funding doesn't add.
I'm comfortable. I think we know what we're proposing. We are going to go out to bid for this trail project. What is it? It's like 1.1 miles of asphalt, I believe. And
That's for the easement.
we have the money to do it.
Commissioner Duckham.
Yes, I would like to respectfully request from all my fellow commissioners, if you have a Scribner's error or a math error, and you've had this agenda out for 3 days, go to Mike Overton, the administration, and get it cleared up there, because you're just putting people on the spot. They can't explain it without going through their backup paperwork, and it just makes things kind of unsettled. So please go to Mike for these questions rather than wait till a meeting. Thank you.
Commissioner Baird.
This proposal was brought before the General Government Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Duckham. It is, anybody that's attended these meetings for the last year and a half, you should know, I am not on that committee, and every time I put my hand up and request to ask a question, the chair of that committee says, "No, you're not on my committee. You can't talk." So if I had the opportunity to ask this question at committee, maybe we would have had time to work this out.
No further discussion at this time. We'd go ahead and vote. Madam Clerk, could you post?
It is posted.
Earl and Ray. Passes 9-0. Commissioner Duckham.
That's all we have tonight, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next committee report is Standing Committee Human Services, chaired by Earl Pileski. Commissioner Pileski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And on the agenda is the perennial appointment to the Sanitary Code Board of Appeals. We have two openings, one for a contractor alternate whose term would expire January of 2027. The second for a well driller alternate whose term would expire January 2028. Those positions are currently vacant. We have had no applicants. I will let the commission know that I have contacted the Jackson Commercial Contractors Association and the Home Builders Association with no success as yet in generating interest in these appointments. I have no applicants to put forward to you tonight, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Pileski. Any other items for business?
That does it for me, sir.
Thank you. Item 16, unfinished business. We have none. Item 17, new business. We have none to be brought before the board. We've arrived at the second opportunity for public comment. Each individual will state their name. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. You may only address the board once under this public comment opportunity and may not yield your time to others. Board members will not debate nor answer questions at this time. Would anyone like to speak public comment? Oh, boy.
I found my other pen. Scott Ogney, Leone Township. I would just like to go a little bit deeper into my efforts and the efforts of the people we call the locus standi investigators on the election crimes. We're talking primarily about three crimes: MCL 750.248, MCL 750.483A, and MCL 168.932C. These all pertain to altered public records, altered election records, and unlawful destruction of records. We also now have data out of Michigan of unlawful foreign penetration of the tabulator machines. We now have information of unlawful data dumping out of the electronic poll books. The clerks, most of them are unaware of this because of the programming that has been involved. When I originally started, it's been a couple years, I brought several members of this board their voting history reports, and it had a 0 timestamp on it. I don't know if anybody here recalls that. That has proved to be significant. That was one of the first things that I discovered, and it goes to the altered records. And I posted this at a meeting that I hosted in Jackson in March of 2022, and I prodded Gary Schutte multiple occasions to sit and talk about this, and he threw me a bone and sent Chris Simpson, the undersheriff, to the meeting. Chris Simpson proceeded to play with his cell phone and surf the web and check his emails throughout that whole meeting.
30 seconds, sir.
Pardon?
30 seconds.
There was a law enforcement officer in close sitting next to him, a township supervisor on his other side, and a lawyer that observed this behavior as well, and a fourth individual. This is the philosophy of Gary Schutte. He picks and chooses what he wants to investigate. That's not what the law says he's supposed to do. That's why I'm pursuing a citizen's arrest, and the Michigan State Police is cooperating. They've asked me to gather as much information on this case as possible. Thank you.
Time's up, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
I'm Marilyn Acton, and I'm on the Jackson Public School Board. And I just wanted to thank you for your service to do everything that you do. There are 3 open seats. we're looking for people that will run. So I just want to put my name out there that you would know me. If you need to get a hold of me for anything, my email's right there on the webpage. So thank you for everything you do.
I think I met several of you last time. My name is Christy Davis. I live in Ward 5, and I am running for City Council in November. I have one opponent, so we just do the November election, but I've had a great time getting to know different people throughout the city. I'd like to be able to meet with more commissioners just to get your thoughts, opinions, and advice on things. But thank you. I have enjoyed the meetings as well.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Public comment is now closed. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For me to go over again proposals that are brought to us only days before the deadline that it has to be approved is inappropriate. And this happens too often. People bring us a proposal that has to be approved by the 16th, or we lose $3 million. This is getting to feel to me like extortion. If I don't approve their proposal, I don't have time to change anything. I don't have time to ask them, double check your math, it doesn't add up. And then I'm told, but you gotta sign it because the deadline's tomorrow. That's nonsense, that's extortion. And Mike, every one of these people work for you. So ultimately, the buck stops with you. Errors in proposals. There's been so many where the math just didn't add up. Paragraph or groups of words weren't even a complete sentence. If some of these people need help working on proposals, let's give them some help. Let's somehow get them the resources so that stuff comes to us when we have an honest time frame to deal with it and ask questions. And let's stop doing this stuff that is, to me, is so aggravating. Pass it now, or you're responsible for losing $3 million grant.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify on a few things that Commissioner Bear just stated, sometimes you have to serve somewhere where things aren't as organized and professional as they are in Jackson County. And I served on such a board as that before here, where things literally came to me an hour, 2 hours before a meeting. That does not happen here. We have a process. We have a study session. The next week we have our committees. And then this week we have our board meeting. And there's ample time to look over the literature and put your questions to staff. And it's more appropriate to do that with them in a professional setting rather than a public meeting where you're looking to scold and embarrass people. That's not appropriate. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. Secondly, as the chair of the jail ad hoc committee, it's my last opportunity to talk about the jail millage. And every commissioner has different thoughts. I don't personally believe that I'm here to tell you to vote one way or the other, but I am here to tell you the facts. And I think the sheriff has done a great job of showing everyone the facilities. There's no question that the jail we have over on Wesley Street not only is inadequate for inmates, but also our staff. And frankly, I'm more concerned with our staff than anyone else. But beyond that, one thing when I've been talking to people in public that seems to be going over their head that they don't understand is there was a millage prior to this to build the original Chanter Road facility. But it wasn't just to build that. In that was funding for the staff at that facility. And that has expired when that millage expired 20 years ago. And that's over $1 million a year in funding to jail operations. So that is incorporated into this next millage request. It's not just to build a jail, it's also to keep that staffing level the same. And the reality is, and I'm not trying to pressure one anywhere, one way or the other, but $1.25 million a year will effectively be gone, and then this commission will make the decisions to make cuts throughout various programs in the county government. So that point, people really, really need to understand. It's not just to build a jail. There is staffing involved in it, and that's why it's really a public safety millage issue. It's not just a jail millage issue. I wanted that to be stated in public so that people understand that. And if anybody has any questions tonight, if I'm not clear enough in it, I'd be more than happy to meet with you tonight, or you can email me, or you can call me. Thanks.
Commissioner Pileski.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'll just echo Commissioner Kennedy's views with respect to the millage. Nobody likes to vote for millages. I get that. Everybody hates property taxes. They hate property taxes more than they hate any other tax there is. But the fact of the matter, the sad fact is, here in Michigan, that local units of government have very few methods of raising the funds to do the work that we're expected to do. And property taxes are the thing that we have to use. We can't collect sales taxes. We don't collect income taxes. So we have property taxes. Everybody hates them. I hate them too. But I would hate to think that there are people on our streets that should be in a jail and that would conduct themselves badly because we didn't have the right facility to keep them locked up. And so I will hold my nose and vote for the millage. I will ask everyone else to please also hold your nose and vote for the millage. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Duckham.
I agree with everything that Commissioner Kennedy and Commissioner Pileski have said. One thing I don't know that was clear, I want everybody to know, the sheriff by state constitution has to have a jail. It has to be staffed. He don't have to run boat patrol. There's various things he don't have to do. He has to have a jail. And we will have a jail next year, even if it's the old one. That might be all he does, who knows? He's got to have the jail.
Any other commissioner comments? On that note, Rick, I would like to thank you for helping me be a county commissioner for the last 24 years. It's been a pleasure working with you here in restoring these buildings and taking care of all of them and listening to you explain why that won't work. You need to follow this method and it'll work much better in the long run. And to this community, this man, Rick, here has done things to make sure Jackson in the long run is functioning, dividing projects up over 4 or 5 years, making sure that a roof that needed to be patched was taken care of, making sure that the proper elevators were put in place that needed to be put in place. A lot of things. He found, scraped pennies together and everything like that, and I witnessed it, and I think the second floor is a true tribute, as well as the meeting at the room at the end of this hallway down here on 5 that Rick completely made sure was put back together correctly. Found wood, found things, found scraps, and was able to return the board of directors from when this was the People's National Bank building office and back into what a beautiful place it is also. I also want to thank the commissioners for their hard work and diligence on different projects this past 6 months, 7 months. We're coming up on election primaries. Most of us, if not all of us, our decisions will be determined then. Those of us that go on to November, I look forward to an exciting and colorful campaign season from Labor Day to November. Otherwise, I would like to entertain a motion in accordance with Michigan Law 15268 on a personnel matter to be discussed. I have a motion from Commissioner Snell. I have support from Commissioner Kennedy. Madam Clerk, I need the roll called.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Duckham. Yes. Commissioner Pileski.
Yes.
Commissioner Willis.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Snell.
Yes.
Commissioner Bear.
Yes.
Commissioner Walls.
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Chairman Shotwell.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We will go to the sixth floor room, everybody.